If there is one movie you could call Will Ferrell's masterpiece, it's, well, Megamind. But alongside Megamind, it would have to be Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. This movie is so underrated it's actually criminal. Like, seriously, what is this Rotten Tomato score? This movie deserves so much better than getting the Treasure Planet treatment. While Will Ferrell has a massive catalogue of some great films, and some terrible films we're all trying to forget exist, this movie stands out to me as a passion project for Will, who genuinely has a love for the real Eurovision contest.
Will Ferrell's like a mad Eurovision fan.
I absolutely love this movie. Like, no, you don't understand. While I was a digital nomad, I suggested it at every hostel movie night, which means, no joke, I have watched this movie in 8 different countries. I basically did my own Eurovision tour. While it seems not to have clicked with a lot of the audience, I'm here to convince you that they are just wrong. This movie has a niche but committed fan base, and with them announcing it's coming to Broadway as a musical, I thought it would be the perfect time to have a look at this incredible movie and explain why Eurovision is not only my favourite film, but also an underrated masterpiece. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will have a new appreciation for this movie. Let's get started. Please subscribe. I don't think that many people realize that the plot of Eurovision follows the traditional format of the hero's journey, while having its own unique twist on the idea. Let's take this journey together as we start with step 1. The ordinary world. This is summarized with how Lars sees his life back home. He's a loser by society standards, living on his dad's couch. This is not left up to interpretation, as in the funniest moment in the whole movie, Lars recounts the conversation he had with his dad, who left zero ambiguity about his feelings for his son, and Sigrid just has to stand there like, yeah.
He looked me deep into the eyes and said, "I am ashamed of you."
But it's not just his dad. Everyone thinks he's weird and he obviously doesn't fit in. He is living in the most beautiful place on earth and he is forced to play the same song every night repeatedly, reflecting the monotony of his life. He's also in a will they won't they with a beautiful woman who he could move forward with and live happily in Húsavík, but he is single-mindedly focused on a seemingly unachievable dream of winning the Eurovision contest. What I like about this movie is that they didn't do the "they never knew how they felt about each other" blah blah blah. No, they are both aware of each other's feelings. But with Eurovision and the potential that they are brother and sister standing in their way, they are delaying the start of their romance. I like this because I hate when movies do that. You're telling me that the person I spend 24/7 with, share my feelings and dreams, is actually my soulmate? No way, who would have thought? I should be clear that they're not actually related, but since Lars's dad is a massive hoe, fathering more illegitimate children than Nick Cannon, Lars isn't 100% sure until the end of the movie. The characterization we get for Lars at this point is twofold. He is childish, incapable of controlling his own emotions, and stubborn, being unable or unwilling to go off his chosen course. Both of these attributes are continuously shown to move the plot forward throughout the movie. His relationship with Sigrid is the heart of the story, as she doesn't feel the need to win, but she has the talent to do so, which directly contrasts his drive for the dream, but without really the singing ability to do it. She is fully supportive of his dream, hoping that once he achieves his dream, she'll be able to live her dream of being with him. This is a point that is reinforced with the lyrics of the final song being played. But she does have a character weakness. She is too comfortable playing second fiddle, prioritizing Lars over herself. Can I just say, Rachel McAdams plays this girl next door vibes perfectly. I am actually in love with her in this movie. Rachel, if you're watching this, my DMs are open. I'm just saying. But let's move on to the next step, call to adventure. The band is chosen completely by luck to compete in a chance to enter the Eurovision contest. This only reinforces his delusion in his dream, as now he believes that his destiny is coming into fruition, without realizing that he was chosen completely by luck and he's not entering a fair contest. The winner is predetermined as the judges have already chosen their champion, Demi Lovato. Katerina. A constant theme of the movie is that Lars needs to tinker, constantly making little last-minute changes that show that there is a nagging voice in his head of his father telling him he's not good enough.
All of Iceland will laugh at you.
Which, as a YouTuber who changes his video title 10 times unless I get 1 million views in 5 minutes, yeah, I can sadly relate a little bit too well to that one. But this is his Achilles heel, which leads to all of their performance problems. In the preliminary, he goes to ask them to change the lights, which leads him to being late to the performance and putting his crotch in someone's face. In the main show, he is constantly making changes to the music, and his final addition of the scarf is what ultimately leads into their performance going badly. It isn't until the final performance that his need to tinker actually ends up being a good thing because he's the one that changes their song. This is where we get to the refusal of the call, but unlike in most stories, it's not the hero refusing the call, it's the judges refusing them, as they inevitably chose Katarina, which they were always planning on do. Thinking this is the end of their journey, they skip the boat party, an idea that ultimately saves their life as the boat explodes, but also shows Lars' character flaw that he's unable and unwilling to hold his head high up in defeat, a trait that will come back to bite him later in the movie. But now all the Icelandic contestants are dead. Once again, their dream has come back to life, resurrected under a pile of dead bodies. A surprisingly dark but accurate sentence. They don't care they weren't chosen, with the judges literally hating on them to their face, literally in front of them. It could never be me.
They're horrible. Terrible.
But it doesn't matter because they believe in themselves and they believe in each other. It is interesting to point out that despite her talents, Sigrid would not have made it this far without his constant drive, showing there is a mutual benefit to their relationship. This is where the steps of the hero's journey gets a little muddled, where the heroes skip to step 5, crossing the threshold. This is the point in the hero's journey where the protagonist leaves their ordinary world to enter a special new one. For Luke, it was leaving Tatooine. For Poe, it was entering the Jade Palace. For Lars and Sigrid, it's leaving Iceland and entering the world of Eurovision. But interestingly, unlike other stories, they are not a duck out of water. Sure, they don't completely fit in yet, but that's because all the other contestants have done this before, and they kind of view it as a bit mundane. It's just a Tuesday to them. But at the end of the day, the Icelanders fit in more with these people. They connect with them better than anyone they connected with back home. They found a place where they are both appreciated and commended. But once again, we reach a disparity between the two main characters' dream. Sigrid thinks that because they're moving forward with his dream, they can also move forward with her dream of them being together.
But we could make music and love.
But Lars denies her interest to continue to focus on his dream of winning Eurovision. He's a stronger man than me because I would have folded. And this is where we get to step 4 and step 6, which are combined as both the villain of the story and their mentor appears. Lemtov. He is their mentor as he guides them through this new world, working as exposition both for the character and the audience. But the thing is, unlike with other movies, it doesn't feel out of place. He is giving a back-end view into the realities of Eurovision. They have only ever seen the glamorized performances, so it makes complete sense that they do not understand the dynamic of the backstage and they need someone to guide them. But also, in a way, Lemtov is the main antagonist. He is both the favorite to win the competition, which is in direct contrast to Lars's dream, and a main competitor for Sigrid's attention. Kind of, you know what I mean. He's basically the living embodiment of the obstacle to both of their dreams. But what I like about this movie is that it keeps it realistic. Be honest with me, in the real world, does anyone actually care who wins Eurovision? We all know it's political.
But everybody hates UK, so 0 points.
What we do is we enjoy the show for what it is, a reflection of culture from different countries. Similarly, in this movie, no one is antagonistic towards each other. There's a real sense of community. It could have been so easy for them to have Lemtov and Mita act as mean girls, who make fun of the dumb Icelanders, but what do they actually do? They take them under their wing. They show them the ropes. Lemtov acknowledges the talent of Sigrid, and Mita acknowledges the enthusiasm of Lars. She could have made fun of him, but no, she ends up liking him for a passion she seemingly has long lost.
I really like you now. That's something, it excited me, you know?
And at the end, when they're gazing at the competitors stealing the spotlight, they don't storm off in a huff or try and sabotage them. They are happy for their two friends who have found their happy ending.
I'm happy for them.
Lemtov realistically did not do anything wrong in the whole movie. Did he act out of self-interest? Of course. But he was also kind. Did he try and steal Sigrid away? Sure, but let's be honest, at that point Lars didn't deserve Sigrid, and what he was offering, was it really that bad? For the world to see her talents? Sure, it would also elevate him, but what he was suggesting was synergetic. And let's be honest, most performers dream. He just wanted to be the Dr. Dre to her Eminem. But ultimately, the decision was left to her, and like I said, he was happy when he saw her decision brought her happiness, even though it wasn't something that benefited him. Mita similarly tried to sleep with Lars, but externally there was nothing wrong with that. She confirmed they weren't dating, There was an implication they were siblings, and then she tried to sleep with a man she was interested in. Once she found out she had caused damage, she came to Sigrid to clear the situation and gave her advice to follow her heart.
Someone like that in my life, I don't think I would let the night of nothing come between us.
Looking back to the first time I watched the movie, I was constantly waiting for these two to turn on the main characters because this is what Hollywood has trained me to expect. But no, I want to be clear, I do not consider them villains, but they are kind of the closest thing the movie has apart from that random Icelandic bank serial murderer. But he isn't really the villain in their story, as technically his scheme is what got them into Eurovision. He was unintentionally killing everyone in their path. Another point looking back, I could not believe I did not realize that Lemtoff was gay. I just thought he was a theatre kid, but his song literally has him on stage thrusting with topless men. It's so funny how obvious they were and how oblivious I am. This is why I never pick up on women's hints. Seriously, I had a girl call me out on this once and she was like, why did you not make a move? I made it really obvious I liked you. And I was like, no you didn't, how? And this woman looked me dead in the face and was like, I sat on your lap, looked into your eyes and played with your necklace. What more do you need? And I was like, damn, you got me there. I genuinely thought she was just being friendly. I am 100% the dumbass who wakes up 10 years later and realizes the girl was flirting. Well, in this case, I didn't realize she told me. Now, this is a faceless channel, so you don't know what I look like. I look a little bit like Lemtoff, just without the hair, and the stylish jacket, and the singing voice, and without the statues of myself ripped with a massive dong. In my defense, I tried to have those statues made for my living room, but the artist refused for some reason, saying something like, I'm not going to immortalize your lies in marble, whatever that means. Maybe I'll try Etsy next. Anyway, where were we? Ah yes, the next stage. We are approaching the Innermost Cave. I would argue that this would be the Eurovision party, as this is where all the performers felt like they were in their own world, and the Icelanders were finally becoming a part of it. For the first time, they truly felt like they were in Eurovision. I love the fact that they brought real Eurovision contestants into this part of the movie, further showing that this movie is a passion project. No matter how hard I try. If you have 20 minutes to spare, I highly recommend watching the YouTube video of the real Eurovision contestants reacting to this movie. I'll put the link in the descriptions. Just, finish this video first. But yeah, the real Eurovision contestants talk about how real this party is, that they were constantly breaking out into song and people would be joining.
Do you remember when we all did that, boys? We started to just bust out in a cappella and the whole club joined in.
I would love to go to one of these parties. I wouldn't sing. I can't sing, but I can backup dance, little boogie. But yeah, no, this is also the first time that we start to see Sigrid's real potential, as for the first time she's singing with passion and she's able to reach points that she'd never reached before. Kind of showing that Lars is holding her back, which is a character trait that will have to be explored later in the movie. This party is my second favorite part of the whole movie, and I think it perfectly encapsulates what makes this movie so great. It is literally a backdoor pass into the real Eurovision experience, which in itself is a quirky, crazy event. You could also argue that the second part of this section is their Double Trouble performance, which is the first time their performance goes somewhat successfully, and it shocks everyone involved.
Okay, so not as bad as we expected.
But then unfortunately we reach the ordeal, the scarf getting caught in the hamster wheel. It is interesting to note that aside from the addition of the scarf, which ultimately led to their downfall, another part of it is the fact that the Icelanders never actually got to practice their set, as every time they had stage time, they got in an argument. It is no surprise that something went wrong, and to be honest, they almost died and took some audience members with them. If it was me, I would expect a refund. Can I just say, I hate this guy. Like, I know it all went wrong, but don't badmouth your performers live. Stand by your people. If it was me, I would be gaslighting the audience harder than your toxic ex. I'd be like, it was all planned. We wanted to shock the audience and make a political stance against hamster violence. Something. Just annoyed the hell out of me. And this is where we get to the two main characters clashing as we see what they have wanted actually flipped, with Lars wanting to go home and Sigrid wanting to stay. But the thing is, Lars wants to go home for the wrong reasons, as his bad traits of escaping when things go wrong have finally come back to bite him, while Sigrid wants to hold her head high even in defeat. Again though, when Sigrid goes backstage, all the contestants, instead of sneering at her and mocking her, they show her sympathy. Lemtoff sits with her and comforts her during what is, let's be honest, the worst moment of her life. She is still not having as bad of a day as the guy in that porta potty. I would never feel clean again. And he didn't even say sorry. I take back what I said about this movie not having villains. Lars is the villain in this guy's story. And so we move on to the next step in the hero's journey, 9 and 10, which to be honest happens simultaneously as the two characters split up. Sigrid gets the reward as she is nominated as one of the finalists to go to Eurovision, metaphorically seizing the sword as she decides to fight against Lars' oppression and decides seemingly for the first time ever to fight for what she wants. Ready to perform in the next stage even if she has to do it alone, something that would have scared her earlier in the movie. Once again showing she is ready to chase her own dream and not just rely on Lars. She does try to go to him, but he's not there as he's decided to go home, which takes us to step 10, the road back, as Lars returns home in shame, oblivious to the fact that his dream continues. Ironically, if he hadn't been full of self-loathing and self-pity, he would have seen the screens and known they got through. Like always, he is his own worst enemy. Can I just say, what are these fits, my man? Like, Sigrid has some good ones, but Lars' best outfit in the whole film is his fisherman costume. Like, this is one ugly ass wardrobe. But beside the point. The next stage is Lars, and Lars is alone, as he works for his father and has a much needed heart-to-heart. His father, who never quite understood the whole Eurovision dream or his son's passion for it, comes to the realization that he may never grasp the dream itself, but the endless resolve and the iron will that his son has shown is something that is universal.
You did not quit. You have Viking spirit in you.
Finally giving him the validation he's always wanted and the confirmation that Sigrid is not his sister, removing a massive obstacle in them being together. Lars then finds out they're still in the competition and has to fight off the Icelandic banker with a little help from the elves. Can I just say, in real life, this man is going to prison. Your fingerprints are on the murder weapon, and what are you going to tell him in court? That elves did it. Even Harvey Specter is not winning that case. But the interesting point is that he even went to the elves. At the time, this is not something he believes in, but it shows his willingness to think about what Sigrid wants, and shows that he's finally starting to respect her desires. Interesting fact is that a lot of Icelanders actually still do believe in elves in real life. It's part of their culture. They are finally reunited in order to sing the final song, Húsavík. This is the resurrection step in the hero's journey. This is by far the best song and the best scene in the movie, bringing together all the themes. Firstly, Lars' journey. A man who desperately wanted the spotlight was willing to sacrifice it, and the whole competition in order for Sigrid to finally step into the spotlight. There is this interesting quote from Lemtov early in the movie as he asks Sigrid,
Will Lars be content if you are the only one who adores him?
And she can't find the answer because at the time he asked, the answer is no. But by making this grand gesture, Lars has shown that his answer has changed to yes, she is enough. It's also shown that he's gotten over his obsession with perfection, as he doesn't change his outfit, he lets her sing in Icelandic, which he thinks most people won't like, plays a song they haven't even practiced, and will 100% get them disqualified.
We'll be disqualified.
Just sing.
He has given up on his childish dream in order to achieve true happiness with Sigrid. Sigrid, on the other hand, has stepped into the spotlight and with the acceptance of her true love is playing a song that is a reflection of her heart and is finally able to hit that key note. I mentioned earlier that it's a big theme of her character as it represents the purest form of her singing. Her mum claimed that Lars was stopping her from hitting this Björk note.
But you will never sing it with Lars Eriksson.
And she was right at the time. His constant need for perfection had a bad habit of putting pressure on her. She never knew where she stood, focusing more on winning than the music itself. The best she'd sang before this was at the party, when there was no goal. It was just the joy of singing for the sake of singing. But that does not compare to her singing in this song, as he finally takes the pressure off her and allows her heart to meet the music, taking everyone's breath away. Interesting fact, while Rachel McAdams does sing in the movie, the singing is not entirely hers. This is not a Zac Efron High School Musical 1 situation. Her vocals are blended with those of the Swedish singer Molly Sandén, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, who actually sang the main vocals, including the high notes in Húsavík. I highly recommend listening to Molly's version of the song because she has such a beautiful voice, truly angelic. My hometown. But Húsavík is a song about her desire and their relationship, what he wants versus what she wants, and that all she wants is her home and him. I call this a true resurrection because not only are the characters brought back to happiness, they're reaching new heights of happiness that they never achieved before, but also the crowds who doubted them, the Icelandic judges who criticized them, the town who never accepted them, are now all mystified by the beauty of this one song. I cannot think of a better conclusion song than this. Or at least that is what I would have said a year ago before Wicked came out with the absolute banger that is Defying Gravity. But Silver Trophy will have to be enough. And with that, we move on to the final step of their journey as they return home triumphant, returning once again to where they were, with a new appreciation for what they have, a new relationship, a new baby, and the respect of the town and the greater world. Plus a little bit of tourism, which is fitting because this movie led to real life tourism for the town. Similar to what Ed Sheeran did for Galway, there's even a Eurovision movie museum. I have a friend who went to Húsavík quite a few times. He loves this movie almost as much as me. Needless to say, the baby at the end is so cute. So that brings us to the end of the movie as they are singing Ya Ya Ding Dong, the same song that they are forced to play constantly. This shows that while the town hasn't changed, what has changed is their mindset. I hope I've been able to reflect the love I have for this movie in this video. While I know it's not for everyone, it holds a special place in my heart, and I hope that next time you watch it, you'll be able to appreciate it a little bit more and view it through my eyes. Please go on Rotten Tomatoes and give it a high score. At the end of the day, we need more passion projects like this, as movies have become more and more single-minded on profitability, so a lot of them are becoming very same, but different. But sometimes the love for a project is reflected in the movie, and I definitely think that Will Ferrell's love is reflected in this one. But since you've made it this far, have I managed to change your perspective on this movie? Have you grown to love it as much as me? Or maybe you just always loved it and you enjoyed watching a video on a movie that you really like. And the movie aside, what is your favorite real Eurovision song? I kind of love Moldova because they just look like a bunch of your dad's friends having fun on stage. But as individual songs, probably think about things and give that wolf a banana. Basically, the weirder the better. If I can hear your song on the radio, you have failed Eurovision. I want to hear that song and immediately know what country it's from and that it's from Eurovision. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. Out of all my videos so far, this has been my biggest passion project. I'm not even sure I'll get a lot of views, but hopefully it'll at least reach the right people. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I hope that you subscribe as I build this channel, expand my community, and slowly become famous enough to become a verb, like Google or Skype. Okay, maybe not Skype. But otherwise, until then, see you in the next video.